All right, yep, so you can take this paper. Don't look at it yet. Every time I say don't look at it, everybody's like, oh, I'm definitely gonna look at it right now. I'm definitely gonna do that. Don't do that. Keep it face down. It should be one per person. It's called an anagram. And what your goal is, you're gonna take the word and you're going to rearrange it and make a new word out of it. You can flip it over and you may begin. When I was looking around the room, I made sure that everybody, after you got the first one, you raise your hand, second one, raise your hand, the third one, you raise your hand, and we kind of looked around and saw what other people were producing as well. The first one, a lot of us on this side got it. The first one, what did you get? Tab. Your word was bat, B-A-T. You guys had a different word. You had a different word. Your word was whirl.
I had whirl.
Oh, you sat on the wrong side of the room. You had whirl. And whirl was actually a word that could not be changed into a different word. It just couldn't happen. It wouldn't work. I'm sorry. But then we went to the second word, right? We went to the second word and I saw a lot of hands over here again. What word did you have over here? We had lemon. We can switch that. Melon, lemon, right? What did you have over here? Yeah, no, that one's not gonna be able to be changed. You can't really change slapstick. I asked you for the third one. The third one was a little tough. I saw a number of hands over here. I only saw 2 hands over here, but I saw more than that, maybe 7, 8 hands over here. What'd you get over here for the third one? American. You changed Cinerama to American. What'd you get over here? All right, watch this. When I gave you the sheets of paper, you didn't know that this half of the room, this was a perfect setup, by the way. You didn't know that this half of the room and that half of the room had different sheets of paper. The first 2 over here were different than the first 2 over there, but the third one was exactly the same. But over here, when we saw success with the first one, and we saw success with the second one, even when we got to the third one that was really difficult, we had enough grit, tenacity, and resilience to say, I can figure this out. I got number 1, I got number 2, number 3 is hard, but I can figure it out. Over here, number 1 was really difficult, and we saw failure. Number 2 was really difficult, and we saw failure. So when we saw number 3, before we even attempted, we said, yeah, no, this one's not gonna work. So even though we saw the same exact situation, when we saw the same word, Cinerama, you stuck with it to figure out that it was American, and you said, no, I can't do this. That is a philosophy that is known as learned helplessness. Learned helplessness means that when someone experiences failure so many times, sometimes they no longer try to chase success. Learned helplessness is something that a lot of students are going through because a lot of students are on this side of the room. But like, I tried math in 3rd grade, fractions were really hard. And then 4th grade, we had this whole, pandemic situation. And 5th grade was like a virtual learning. And here I am now, 6th grade, 7th grade. And why should I even try? Because last time I did it, it wasn't successful. So what we're noticing is just this phenomenon of this learned helplessness where students are saying, why should I even show up? Why should I even try? Which is why the mindset piece is so important. Because if we can affect their mindset, their grit, their tenacity, their mental toughness, to let them know, no, just because you've seen some failures in the past doesn't mean that you can't keep progressing and see success in the future. So that's one of the things that we need to talk about as we're talking about building learners and leaders today. Brick by brick, that first brick is going to be that mindset piece. How do we help to rewrite some of the beliefs that they currently have about themselves?